Before we start, this Marbella guide isn't about the glitzy Puerto Banús. It isn't about the Golden Mile or Nueva Andalucía that most people know. This is about Marbella Old Town and the town itself, by a history nerd like me. Marbella actually won the Destination of the Year by Forbes in 2024. And the year before that, 2023, Malaga won the best place to live and work in. Two cities in southern Spain, which might not be a big deal for some people, but it definitely is for the American market. Before Marbella looked like it does today, it was actually just farms and sugarcane, and then became a mining town. They'd actually found iron ore in the mountains behind us in Istan and Ojen, and there'd be train tracks carrying that ore down through here, which is now the Indigo parking, and going out to sea where there'll be towers. There's one tower still left, El Cable Tower, and there'll be boats picking up the ore, taking it somewhere else in the world. And today, in the same spot, it's an open-air museum. These are Salvador Dalí casts, and today we have a local arts market behind us. The paseo in Marbella, or the boardwalk we're currently on, runs all the way to Puerto Banús and further, and all the way back to the beginning of Marbella. It's full of street vendors, tapas places, beach bars, you name it, and you've also got the harbour, which is great for enjoying nightlife. Coming up from the paseo towards the city, we've got what I call the tapas street. You've got places like El Bodegón, which serves you 100 different variety of tapas for €1 each, €1. Or you've got places like Bodega La Venecia, which is a local gem. Try it. If you're ever in Marbella, visit Casablanca. It's a Spanish franchise for tapas. It's a great spot. Great, great spot. Now we're in Parque de Alameda, the park, kind of the center of Marbella. You've got the historic pine tree, which is over 100 years old, a couple of fountains, and one of those famously is where the women used to wash their clothes because it's got a little angle to it. Here is the entrance to the old town. So everything from here on out, historic. Now Marbella has a lot of history, and a big part of that were the Moors. So you have to imagine all these streets would have looked something like this very narrow one before. When the Spaniards took this back in the Reconquista, they would have started opening up these streets. And of course, they had to rename them. So this street, which is Calle Gloria, was renamed because it leads to glory, which of course is the church. Of course, streets like these were a lot easier to defend back in the day. An invading army would have to be narrowed down. Doesn't really look like there's an exit from there. And this is Calle Gloria that leads right to glory, to the big church behind us. To show you, this place has a lot of history. Just outside the church, which is rumored that the ex-dictator Franco used to confess in, we have two Catholic churches, and even before the Moors were here and built their own castle, the Romans left some proof. So if you look closely, over there, you've got two Roman columns embedded in the city walls, which the Moors would have reused, recycled, to build their own castle. One of the most fascinating things for me personally is that you have to imagine this place with the Moors, and you've got the castle and several guard towers, only which one is still remaining. Might have been a guard tower just here behind us. And you see the stone, it looks like somebody really big sat on. That would have been the preferred stone for the guards to sharpen their swords for years and years and years. So think about this place when you're here. With the sound of somebody sharpening a knife or a sword would have been terrifying back in the day. One of the most photographed streets in Marbella is Calle Carmen. When you're here, you have to take a picture on it. Otherwise, have you even been here? Coming from Calle Carmen, we encounter Plaza de los Naranjos, or Orange Square. This is the famous square that you've probably seen online already. It would have been one of the first things that the Spaniards did after the Reconquista. They would have removed about 50, 60 homes from here and created a square. On that square, you've got the town hall, you've got obviously the oranges and the orange trees and a lot of cafeterias. But what I want to show you is the back alley of the Orange Square, which is where the corruption and some little shady things happen in the days. When I talk about shady, there's two lines of history I'm referring to. Over here, this could have been a brothel back in the day, or that's what they say. This is where they would have had their horses or their donkeys housed, and you can even see that they would have protected the water runoff so that the horse didn't kick it. But in more modern history, more recent history, this is also the back alley or the back exit from the town hall, which is that little bridge over there. So politicians or some people didn't have to use the front door, they could have escaped through the back. When we're back at the Orange Square, of course you've got the town hall right behind you, you've got the cafeteria, some ice cream shops, but there's one building, that one, which is a little bit off-center. That of course used to be an old mosque, which is turned towards the Mecca. But when the Spaniards took this back, that became a church. Marbella, of course, has a lot of international cuisine and food. One of the places is Casani's Bistro, which would be French. If you want a more local experience, down the street you've got a lot of tapas places, Italians as well, which are not necessarily local. But more local would be going up the street to the Tablao Flamenco. This is flamenco. Flamenco is, of course, the Spanish dance, and it's at its purest form here. It's not a big theater, it's not a grand ola. It's kind of in their own home, and they're dancing literally 30 centimeters away from you. It's a must thing to do when you're here. When I say intimate, this is what I mean. This is where they do flamenco. So you'd be sitting down, of course you get a glass of wine or whatever you're drinking. Sit down here, put your glass. You've got the guitarist, you've got the singer. It doesn't get any more pure. Living in Marbella has pros and cons. Of course, the culture, the ambience is amazing. Everything is walkable. Less parking, more noise, more tourism. Rental regulations are strict, but demand is quite high. Understanding these things is really what makes or breaks the experience. You can of course get something starting at 200,000 euros all the way to renovated apartments over millions. But it simply has to adapt to what you're looking for and your lifestyle and your criteria. So this might be perfect for you, or it might not be. And before I end this, remember, this is the Marbella town guide, the old town specifically. This is not the Golden Mile. This is not Nueva Andalusia where the Swedes are. This is not Puerto Banús where you'll find all the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And maybe that's the good part. Understanding the history and the culture of this place, you'll understand the property market and the pros and cons with it. So this might be the place for you. It might not be. It's worth exploring and understanding no matter what.